Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Hare Krishna Nayanam Namakritya Nam Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan, which is the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto the author, Srila Vyasadeva. Hare Krishna. So today is a special day. Today is a special day. It's a festival day. It's the day of the appearance of Lord Nrsimhadeva. So the pastime of Lord Nrsimhadeva are described in the Seventh Canto, and I encourage you today to go there because it's so much nectar. A few months ago, Anandini Prabhu in Switzerland, she asked me to give a class for their Bhakti Sangam on the Seventh Canto. So I studied the Seventh Canto for a few weeks, and so now to come back to it is so relishable. The Seventh Canto is entitled The Science of God. So it means that there is something special about the science of God in the Seventh Canto. And so to start today, I'd like to first go back to yesterday's class. For those of you who were there, we were reading from the third canto, second chapter, 15, verse 15. And there, Uddhava described how the Lord comes on earth, he manifests himself when there is a friction, between the devotees and those who are not devotees. That's when it describes that the Lord comes in the same way that when there is a friction, then the fire comes. So the Lord comes as a fire. There is someone mowing. Do you hear it, or the sound is okay? Okay, good. So, so in the Bhagavad Gita, we want to put everything in perspective because all the appearance of the Lord are very, very important, and we want to understand why is it that they are so important. So in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 4, which is entitled Transcendental Knowledge, the Lord revealed himself. He said, Yada yada idharmasya, glanir bhavati bharata, abhyutanam adharmasya, tadat manam srijamyaham. So I'm going to read translation. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religion practice, O descendant of Bharat, and a prominent rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So that's Transcendental Knowledge, chapter 4, text 7. And then Lord Krishna continues. So he tells us, okay, every time there is a decline of religion, and I come in every millennium. And then he says, Paritanaya sadhunam vinashaya shaduskritam dharma samstavanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. In order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreant, as well as to reestablish the principle of religion, I myself, millennium after millennium, I advent myself. So that's Krishna describing to Arjuna that he comes every time there is to protect the pious and alienate the miscreant. And Srila Prabhupada said, to annihilate the miscreant or to kill the demons, there is no need for Krishna to appear because, he's in charge of the weather, he's in charge of everything. Everything emanates from him. So he can create a tsunami, a war, he can create a a hurricane. It can create so many ways to kill the miscreant if you choose to. So it doesn't really need to come for that, but it does really, the most intimate way to look at it, he comes to really manifest himself to the pious. And he comes also because by manifesting his pastime and coming regularly, he gives us faith. He increases our faith because we can read about him, we can know about it, we can learn about him, and we can learn about his appearance. So the next verse, which is text 9 of chapter 4, it says, Janma karma chamedevyam, evamyo vetitadvata, tadvadeon janma naiti mameti so Arjuna. So it said, like, if we do understand the appearance and disappearance and the pastime, the transcendental nature of his appearance and disappearance, and then when we leave our body, we will not need to come again in this material world. So that's how important it is to understand the appearance of the Lord. And so because today is Lord Nrsimhadeva appearance day, we want to really absorb ourselves in the pastimes. And I'm going to go through the pastime. I just wanted to give a philosophical structure from the Bhagavad Gita before starting with the pastime of Lord Nrsimhadeva, because Janma Karma Chamedevyam, if we understand how the Lord appear and disappear, then that's all we need. That's all we need. We are promised by Krishna, we'll not need to take birth again by just understanding his pastime. So the seventh canto starts with, really it's a question from Yudhishthira Maharaj to Narada Muni. So the seventh canto is narrated mainly by Narada Muni, speaking to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And at the beginning of the seventh canto, it's explained that, well, I'm not going to go into the story. There's so many stories in a story, and I can get lost in stories. But basically, the four Kumaras, at the dawn of creation, the four Kumaras came out of Brahma. And then they were wandering around the universe, and they were wandering around the universe as 5-year-old little boys. And then as they were wandering upon the universe, there is a beautiful description in a third canto about when they arrive around Vaikuntha. And they describe just the beauty of the Vaikuntha planet. And we can see, like, on this earth, there's beautiful places. In America, there's mountains and lake, and there is a seashore, and then we have, Hawaii that people consider is like heavenly, and so many beautiful places on earth. And in comparison to the places in the heavenly planet, those places are kind of okay, like kind of, even like someone will look, a demigod will look at them, not very interesting. So in a heavenly planet, there is so many description. In a pastime of Gajendra, there's so many description of the beauty of the heavenly planet in that pastime. And then in comparison to Vaikuntha, the heavenly planet are just like okay, nothing special about them. So the Vaikuntha planet, everything is made of beauty. Everything is a manifestation of Krishna's internal energy. So everything is beautiful and very attractive. So that description is in the third canto if you're interested. So basically those four Kumaras, they came to Vaikuntha and they arrive at one of the gates of Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha have a few gates, and they arrive at one of the gates. And there was giant Vijay, servant of the Lord. And it's really important to understand they are servant of the Lord. And giant Vijay are there. And they saw those little kid and they say, you cannot enter Vaikuntha. And then as the pastime unfold, the four Kumaras, they could see those gatekeepers, they need to be rectified. There is something in their heart that makes them, see something in us that's really in them. So out of great mercy, the four Kumaras, they curse giant Vijay to take birth 3 times in the material world and 3 times as demons. There is more details about that we don't need to go there. So they take birth as demon Jai, Vijay, Jai being Hiranyaksha and Vijay Hiranyakashipu. And Hiranyakashipu is older than Hiranyaksha. And at the dawn of creation, the first demon that appeared to be killed by Lord Vishnu as Varahadev is in Hiranyaksha. And after Hiranyaksha was killed, Hiranyakashipu made a vow, I'm going to kill Vishnu. And after he made that vow, he went to the Mandara mountains and he did a lot of austerity. He did a lot of austerities there. So much so that the entire world was trembling under his austerity. I wanted to show you Hiranyakashipu doing his austerity. Yeah, he did so much austerity. He was standing on his toes. He was standing on his toe. Do you see it? Yeah. He was standing on his toes with his arm like that. And he did that for thousands of celestial years. And so much so that fire was coming out of his arms. We see that in that picture, that the fire was coming out of his arm. And he was so austere that he stays there so long that he had no flesh on his bones anymore. There was an ant-hill that had built around his body that had eaten all the flesh on his body. So from this, we can see how he was a great yogi. In fact, he was a jnani, a yogi. When he speak to his mother, like after Hiranyaksha was killed, he kind of reassure his mother, and he speak like really elevated philosophy. So speaking elevated philosophy, being able to do great austerity and sacrifice, so like there is no way anybody is going to do sacrifice and austerity like Hiranyakashipu. It's not at all qualification to be a devotee of the Lord, because Hiranyakashipu was not a devotee of the Lord. Of course he is, because he is Vijay, but in this pastime, he is a demon. He's against Lord Vishnu. So we can see that even so we may accumulate so much power, we may not be really eligible to go back to Godhead because of the demoniac propensity. So after he did that, Hiranyakashipu, the demigods became really worried, because that fire that was coming out of his head, and then the whole universe was trembling. So they approach Lord Brahma. They approach Lord Brahma, and they approach Lord Brahma. And they say, you need to do something. You need to do something. So Lord Brahma decided, okay, he's praying to me. Hiranyakashipu is praying to me. He's doing his austerity. Is really powerful right now. The whole universe is trembling because of Hiranyakashipu. So Lord Brahma decided, okay, I'm going to go and see him and ask him, what's up? What do you want? And he did. Lord Brahma went, he said, well, you're very powerful. And the first thing he did when he arrived, he showed his power by putting some drop of water upon Hiranyakashipu, and Hiranyakashipu regained his form. He regained the flesh of his, on his body, he regained his form like that just by the power of Lord Brahma, because Lord Brahma is the creator of the universe. So he can do that. He's the engineer of the universe. He creates planets. He creates so many type of living entities. So he can do that. So we can look at that like in terms of healing our body. So Lord Brahma, he has the power to give back the flesh on Hiranyakashipu's body. And then Lord Brahma, after he does that, he asks, okay, well, what can we do for you to stop, those austerity, because you're a disturbance in the universe because of that. And my glasses. And so Hiranyakashipu, he began to speak. He wanted to be immortal. He wanted to be immortal. He said, I want you to grant me immortality. And Lord Brahma said, I cannot do that because I myself, Lord Brahma, the engineer of the universe, the one who, who creates every day when I get up, I create everything. Every day when I go to sleep, everything is disappearing. Most of the universe is disappearing. So even me, I have an end of my life. And at the end of my life, I'm annihilated. So I cannot give you immortality. So Hiranyakashipu, like we all do, he felt like, oh, I'm going to be smarter than even Brahma. I'm going to outsmart the system. Okay, Brahma, you're dull. You accept that you're going to die, but I'm going to be more intelligent than Lord Brahma. And I'm not going to accept that I can die. And I'm going to use my intelligence to create a trick that, in fact, I'm going to be granted immortality without even Lord Brahma knowing it. So we are going to read what Hiranyakashipu asked. So Hiranyakashipu, he addressed Lord Brahma and said, oh, my Lord, oh, best of the givers of benediction, if you will kindly grant me the benediction I desire, please let me not meet death from any of the living entities created by you. So he starts his intelligent plan. He think like, I'm going to outsmart the system. So grant me that I'm not killed by anyone you have created. Okay. And then he said, grant me that I do not die within any residence or outside any residence. Again, his thinking is really smart. During the daytime or at night, nor on the ground or in the sky. Grant me that my death not be brought by any being other than those created by you, nor by any weapons, nor by any human being or animal. So he's creating so many conditions, thinking, and we do that, isn't it? We do that, we create so many conditions. I'm safe like that. I'm safe, nothing will happen, I'm in charge. Grant me that I do not meet death from any entity, living or non-living. Grant me further that I not be killed by any demigods or demons, or by any great snakes from the lower planets. Since no one can kill you in the battlefield, you have no competitor. Therefore, grant me the benediction that I too may have no rival. Give me sole lordship over all the living entities and presiding deities, and give me all the glories obtained by that position. Furthermore, give me all the mystic powers attained by long austerities and the practice of yoga, for those cannot be lost at any time. So he's also asking for mystic power. He's asking, through his intelligence, and he's described as very intelligent, he's asking in so many ways, he's asking to be immortal. And Lord Brahma was very satisfied with Hiranyakashipu's austerity, which were difficult to perform. Therefore, when solicited for benediction, he indeed granted them. Also, they were rarely to be achieved. So Lord Brahma grant everything Lord Hiranyakashipu asked for, and because within the jurisdiction of his power, he could. And at the same time, he kind of granted to Hiranyakashipu to be more powerful than himself, almost like as powerful as he is. And so from that moment on, Hiranyakashipu, he started to terrorize the universe, terrorize everyone, like the demigod, and he went to the heavenly planet, and he went there, and he established himself in the heavenly planet. He terrorized everybody. And the demigods, after seeing that, being terrorized by Hiranyakashipu in that way, they decided to go to Lord Vishnu and say, the sages, the Brahmins are oppressed. There is no sacrifice going on for us anymore. the world, the universe is all in shambles, and this person is so powerful. Even when he was blinking his eyeball, all the demigods were disappearing and were hiding themselves in different places in the universe. That's how powerful Hiranyakashipu had become. And then it's everyone, including the ruler of the various planets, was extremely distressed because of the severe punishment inflicted upon them by Hiranyakashipu. Fearful and disturbed, unable to find any other shelter, they at last surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. And then they offer prayer, because that's the way you do that. Then, I will read there. It's chapter 4. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto that direction where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated, where those purified souls in the renounced order of life the great saintly person goes, and from which, having gone, they never return, without sleep, fully controlling their minds and living on only their breaths. The predominating deities of the various planets began worshipping Rishikesh with this meditation. So all the demigods, those in charge of the important planetary system, they decided, okay, we need help here. And Brahma is not going to help us. In fact, Brahma got us in trouble here. And so we need to go further. We need to go higher than Lord Brahma. And they pray to Rishikesh, Lord Vishnu. Then, as they were praying, I continue. Then there appeared before them a transcendental sound vibration emanating from a personality not visible to material eyes. So I found it was important that we hear the Lord, and it's not about seeing the Lord necessarily. The voice was as grave as the sound of a cloud, and it was very encouraging, driving away all fear. So that's the voice of Lord Vishnu, and the voice we can hear all the time. The voice, the grave voice, that Paramatma speaking to us and constantly being there for us. And we too can hear the voice of Paramatma if we pay attention. The voice of the Lord vibrates as follows. O best of learned persons, do not fear. I wish all good fortune to you. Become my devotees by hearing and chanting about me and offering me prayers. For these are certainly meant to award benediction to all living entities. I know all about the activities of Hiranyakashipu and shall surely stop them very soon. Please wait patiently until that time. So the Lord doesn't say, I'm going to immediately do something, but he says, hear and chant. You're in distress, hear and chant. That's a process. When one is envious of the demigods who represent the Supreme Personality of Godhead of the Vedas, which will give all knowledge of the cows, Brahmana, Vaishnava, and religious principle, and ultimately of me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he and his civilization will be vanquished without delay. When Hiranyakashipu teases the great devotee Prahlad, his own son, who is peaceful and sober and who has no enemy, I shall kill Hiranyakashipu immediately, despite the benediction of Brahma. So, like the Lord here is telling them, I'm going to come, and I'm going to come when my pure devotee, Prahlada Maharaja, is tortured by his father. That's when I'm going to come. You complaining is okay, but a demon touching my devotee, that I'm not going to accept. So that's Lord Vishnu responding to the demigod. And then the next chapter, we go to Prahlada Maharaja. So Prahlada Maharaja is a very special devotee of the Lord. And so we go back to the kingdom, Hiranyakashipu's kingdom, and Prahlada Maharaja is there. And Prahlada Maharaja is very, very absorbed in Vishnu. And his classmates, they are going to ask him, why is it that you know about Vishnu? Because we don't know about Vishnu. We never heard about him. We don't know about hearing and chanting. How come you know about that? And you're teaching us. Where does that come from? And then Prahlada Maharaj decided to narrate his story. So he narrated the story that when his father went to the Mandara mountain after Hiranyaksha was killed to do his austerity, the demigods, finally, the demons were gone, so the demigods, they took over. There's always a fight between the demon and the demigod. The whole Bhagavatam is always that. Sometimes the demigods win and sometimes the demon win. So at that time, because Hiranyakashipu was out of his palace, then the demigod, they came and they attacked all the demons and took over. And then they found Kayadu, who was one of the wives of Hiranyakashipu, and she was pregnant. And they were about to kill her when Narada Muni came. And he said, don't kill her. Don't kill her. She's just a woman. Why will you want to kill her? And then the demigod said, well, maybe she's a woman, but she's carrying a demon. She's carrying the son of a demon. She's carrying a demon. And Narada Muni said, no. She's not carrying a demon. She's carrying a great devotee of the Lord. Don't touch her. And then Narada Muni took her to his hermitage. And then during the time she was with Narada Muni, the Narada Muni taught as a guru, became a guru, and he gave transcendental knowledge to Kayadu and to the little Prahlad in a womb. And Prahlad and Kayadu didn't give birth as long as her husband was away. So Prahlad did stay in the womb of his mother for very long time. And so he heard from Narada Muni the transcendental knowledge for a very long time also. And so Prahlada Maharaj explained all that when he was in the womb of his mother, he heard about the glories of the Lord. He heard how the Lord is the origin of everything, that everything emanates from him, and that the goal of any life is to surrender fully to the Lord and always think and remember him by chanting his holy name. And Prahlada Maharaj was fully absorbed in remembering the Lord. In fact, he's one of the acharya of one of the 9 principles of devotional service, which is remembering. And Prahlada Maharaj was always absorbed in remembering the Lord. And then the teachers, they noticed that Prahlad was contaminated. The teacher, all they wanted to teach is how to be a good demon, how to accumulate money, how to do political intrigue, how to kill your enemies, all those things that was the son of Shukracharya, Sanda and Amarka wanted to teach to the children on the political demoniac way of life, how to kill your enemy, how to see everything in terms of friends and enemies, and how to subjugate people when they have more than you, how to follow your envy and crush people you're envious of. So that's what they were teaching. And so you could see like, this boy is not learning properly. So they took him to his father, and then his father, he said, yes, it seems that he's very contaminated. Please take good care of him. And then Sandavarka, they kind of focused on Prahlad. Prahlad, you need to learn that. And they were teaching him the art of life of a demon. And then what he saw is that more and more, Prahlad was preaching to his classmates. And every time there was a recess, the little boys, they were chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. I think there's a picture on that. They were chanting Hare Krishna and having a good fun. And so I'm not seeing, there is a place somewhere. And so the teachers, they were really so unhappy to see how contaminated how contaminated all the boys became. And they said, that doesn't work. We don't want that kid in our class anymore. He's really trouble. He's really, really causing so much trouble. And they sent him back to his father. And I'm not finding that picture, but there is a picture like that. They sent him back to his father a few times like that. And so his father became really, really angry. And he said, kill that boy, kill that boy, kill that boy. So Sandal Namarka, they sent the boy to torturer, people who torture people. And so they tried to kill him in so many ways. Here is little Prahlad, and I love that picture. And so Prahlad, at first, like the boar, the demons, they tried to pick him with their trident. And then Prahlad, he wasn't even petitioning the Lord, please save me, I'm scared. He was just completely absorbed in the Lord, and he wasn't like really paying attention to what was happening with him. And then, in fact, the trident couldn't touch him. And then they tried many ways to kill him. They put him in a pit of snake, and same thing Prahlad. He was with a snake, and what was Prahlad doing? Remembering the Lord, appreciating the Lord, glorifying the Lord, chanting the names of the Lord, and the snake didn't bite them. They also took him, and they I was listening to a class yesterday with Prabhupada, that's why I'm laughing. They took Prahlad and they threw him in a boiling oil. And as soon as the body of Prahlad came in the boiling oil, the oil became cool, completely cool. And Prahlad, again, he wasn't praying for protection. He was just completely absorbed in the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada in his class, he said, don't imitate that. Don't try it. Don't try to jump into boiling oil, okay? It was really funny that Srila Prabhupada says that. And then they threw him on a cliff. And same thing, Prahlad was just meditating. He was just focusing on the Lord, completely absorbed on the Lord. And he arrived, and there was only like big cushion at the top, at the bottom of the hill. And so he arrived safe. So like that, gave him poison so many ways. His father, the father, Hiranyakashipu, who could control his senses, who could make the whole world tremble, he couldn't even control his 5-year-old son. So then the servant of Hiranyakashipu in charge of killing him, they came back and they said, we cannot do anything. We try our best, we try everything that everybody is collapsing under, but Prahlad is not at all budging. It seems that he's protected by a really powerful force, and that is so strong that we cannot do anything about it. And so then there is that scene. That's very, very important scene. And I'm going to go to it because where it is. So chapter 8, and we will read starting from text 5. Chapter 8, text 5. I'm trying to look at it. Chapter 8, text 5. Okay. So the boat is son, and they say, okay, we cannot kill him. We don't know how to kill him. We try everything. It doesn't work. And Hiranyakashipu got so angry, so angry. He's trying, he's so powerful. He can kill demigods, he can make the whole universe tremble. But his son is not killed by his servant who have tried everything. So he became so angry. And he said, "O most impudent, most unintelligent disruptor of the family, O lowest of mankind, You have violated my power to rule you, and therefore you are an obstinate fool. Today I shall send you to the place of Yamaraj. So Hiranyakashi put this, okay, my servants are not good enough. I'm going to kill you personally. My son Prahlad, you rascal, you know that when I am angry, all the planets of the tree world tremble, along with their chief rulers, by whose power, as a rascal like you, become so impudent that you appear fearless and overstep my power to rule you. So he could rule all the planetary system. Everything was trembling. But Prahlad didn't even tremble. He wasn't trembling. He was fully absorbed in Krishna with Lord Vishnu, remembering Lord Vishnu every moment. So Prahlada Maharaja said, and that's my favorite part of the pastime, he said to his father, my dear king, the source of my strength, of which you are asking, is also the source of yours. You're getting your strength from the same place I get mine. Indeed, the original source of all kind of strength is one. He is not only your strength or mine, but the only strength for everyone. The only strength for everyone. Without him, no one can get any strength. Whether moving or not moving, superior or inferior, everyone, including Lord Brahma, is controlled by the strength of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prahlad continued. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Controller and Time Factor, is the power of the senses, the power of the mind, the power of the body, and the vital force of the senses. His influence is unlimited. He is the best of all living entities, the controller of the three modes of material nature. By his own power, he created this cosmic manifestation, maintained it, and annihilated it also. Prahlada Maharaj continued, my dear father, please give up your demoniac mentality. Do not discriminate in your heart between enemies and friends. Make your mind equiposed towards everyone, except for the uncontrolled and misguided minds. There is no enemy within this world. Again, I'm going to repeat that. Prahlada Maharaj is a very, very wise boy. In fact, I encourage you to read those chapters where Prahlada Maharaj gives his wisdom to his little schoolmate. I'm going to repeat that. Except for the uncontrolled and misguided mind, there is no enemy within this world. We have no other enemies than our mind. When one sees everyone on the platform of equality, one then comes to the position of worshipping the Lord perfectly. Prahlad continued. In former time, there were many fools like you who did not conquer the six enemies that steal away the wealth of the body. These fools were very proud and thinking, I have conquered all enemies and in all the 10 directions. But if a person is victorious over the 6 enemies and is equiposed towards all living entities, for him there is no enemies. Enemies are merely imagined by one in ignorance. So I will read the purport to this. In this material world, everyone thinks that he has conquered his enemies, not understanding that his enemies are his uncontrolled mind and 5 senses. Mana, Shasta, Nidrindiya, Papriti, Stani, Kashyati. In this material world, everyone has become a servant of the senses. Originally, everyone is a servant of Krishna. But in ignorance, one forgets this, and thus one is engaged in the service of Maya through lusty desires, anger, greed, illusion, malice, and jealousy. Everyone is actually dependent on the reaction of material laws. but still one thinks himself independent and thinks that he has conquered all direction. In conclusion, one who thinks that he has many enemies is in ignorance, whereas one who is in Krishna consciousness knows that there is no enemies, but those within oneself, the uncontrolled mind and senses. So now we are hearing from Hiranyakashipu. He's really, he was angry when his son came, but hearing his son preaching to him, he's in rage now. He's in rage, he's uncontrolled rage. Hiranyakashipu replied, "You rascal, you are trying to minimize my value as if you were better than me at controlling the senses. This is over-intelligent. I can therefore understand that you desire to die in my hands. For this kind of nonsensical talk is indulged in by those about to die. O most unfortunate Prahlad, you have always described a supreme being other than me, a supreme being who is above everything, who is the control of everyone, who is all pervading. But where is he? If he is everywhere, then why is not present before me in these pillars? Because you are speaking so much nonsense. I shall now sever your head from your body. Now let me see your most worshipable God come to protect you. I want to see it." Being obsessed with anger, Hiranyakashipu is Narada speaking, who was very great in bodily strength, thus chastised his elevated devotee son Prahlad with harsh words. Cursing him again and again, Hiranyakashipu took up his sword, got up from his royal throne, and with great anger struck his fist against the column. Then from within the pillar came a fearful sound. Row, row. Then from within the pillar came a fearful sound, which appeared to crack the covering of the universe. Oh, my dear Yudhishthir, Narada Muni speaking to Yudhishthir, this sound reached even the abodes of the demigod like Lord Brahma. And when the demigods heard it, they thought, oh, now our planet are being destroyed. While showing his extraordinary prowess, Hiranyakashipu desired to kill his own son, heard that wonderful tumultuous sound, which had never been heard before. Upon hearing this sound, the other leaders of the demons were afraid. None of them could find the origin of that sound in the assembly. To prove that the statement of this servant Prahlada Maharaja was substantial, in other words, to prove that the Supreme Lord is present everywhere, even within the pillar of an assembly hall, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, exhibited a wonderful form never seen before. The form was neither that of a man, nor that of a lion, that the Lord appeared in his wonderful form in the assembly hall. While Hiranyakashipu looked all around to find the source of the sound, that wonderful form of the Lord, which could not be ascertained to be either a man or a lion, emerged from the pillar. In amazement, Hiranyakashipu wondered, what is this creature that is half man, half lion? So beautiful. Hiranyakashipu studied the form of the Lord, trying to decide who the form of Nrsimhadeva standing before him was. The Lord's form was extremely fearsome because of his angry eyes, which resemble molten gold, his shining mane, which expanding the dimension of his fearful face, his deadly teeth and his razor-shaped tongue, which move about like a dueling sword. His ears were erect and motionless, and his nostrils and gaping mouth appeared like cave of the mountain. His jaw parted fearfully, and his entire body touched the sky. His neck was very short and thick, his chest broad, and his waist thin, and the hair on his body as white as the hair of the moon. His arm, which resembled a flank of soldiers, spread in all directions as he killed the demon rogues and atheists with his conchal, disc, club, lotus, and other natural weapons. Hiranyakashipu murmurs to himself, Lord Vishnu, who possesses great mystic power, has made this plan to kill me. But what is the use of such an attempt? Who can fight with me? Thinking like this and taking up his club, Hiranyakashipu attacks the Lord like an elephant. He's so puffed up. Just as a small insect falls forcefully into a fire and the insignificant creature becomes invisible, when Hiranyakashipu attacks the Lord, who was full of effulgence, Hiranyakashipu became invisible. This is not at all astonishing, for the Lord is always situated in pure goodness. Formerly, during creation, he enters the dark universe and illuminated it by his spiritual effulgence. Thereafter, the great demon Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry, swiftly attacked Nrsimhadeva with his club and began to beat him. Lord Nrsimhadeva, however, captures the great demon along with his club, just as Garuda might capture a great snake. O Yudhishthir, O son of Bharat, when Lord Nrsimhadeva gave Hiranyakashipu a chance to slip from his hand, just as Garuda sometimes played with a snake and let it slip with his mouth, the demigods who had lost their abode and who were hiding behind the clouds for fear of the demon did not consider that incident very good. Indeed, they were perturbed. So even the demigods, they were so afraid of Hiranyakashipu that when Lord Nrsimhadeva lets Hiranyakashipu sleep, they were still afraid of him. But Prahlada was never afraid of anything. Then Hiranyakashipu was freed from the hand of Nrsimhadeva. He falsely thought that the Lord was afraid of his powers. Therefore, after taking a little rest from the fight, he took up his sword and shield and again attacked the Lord with great force. Making a loud, shrill sound of laughter, the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan, was extremely strong and powerful, captured Hiranyakashipu, who was protecting himself with his sword and shield, leaving no gap open. With the speed of the hawk, Hiranyakashipu moves sometimes in the sky and sometimes on the earth, his eyes closed because of fear of Nrsimhadeva's laughter. As a snake captures a mouse or Garuda captures a very venomous snake, Lord Nrsimhadeva capturing Hiranyakashipu, who could not be pierced even by the thunderbolt of King Indra, that our Hiranyakashipu was not even being able to be killed by Indra. As Hiranyakashipu moves his limb here and there and all around, very much afflicted at being captured, Lord Nrsimhadeva placed the demon on his lap, supporting him with his thigh, and in the doorway of the assembly hall, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with his nail of his hands. Lord Nrsimhadeva's mouth and mane were sprinkled with drops of blood, and his fierce eyes, full of anger, very impossible to look at, licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Nrsimhadeva, decorated with a garland of intestine taken from Hiranyakashipu's abdomen, assembled a lion that has just killed an elephant, resembled a lion that just killed an elephant. You can see here. He is so beautiful and fierce. Narada Muni continues. The Supreme Personality of Godhead was many, many arms. First uprooting Hiranyakashipu's heart, and then threw him aside and turned towards the demon soldiers. The soldiers that come in thousands to fight with him, with raised weapon, and were very faithful followers of Hiranyakashipu. But Lord Nrsimhadev killed all of them merely with the hand of his nail. Just the hand of his nail kills all of them. There's a picture of that too. Let me find it. We can look at the Lord and see how beautiful and fierce he is. Shila Tankar Nakalaye. Shila Tankar Nakalaye. We sing every day. With his, he pierced the chest of Hiranyakashipu. Shila is like with his nail, like they are just like stone. Shila means stone. They are like stones. He pierced the chest of Hiranyakashipu and all the demons. The hair of Nrsimhadev's head shook the cloud and scattered them here and there. His glaring eyes told the effulgence of the luminaries in the sky, and his breathing agitated the seas and ocean. Because of his roaring, all the elephants in the world began to cry in fear. Airplanes were thrown into outer space and upper planetary system by the hair of Nrsimhadev's head. Because of the pressure of the Lord's lotus feet, the earth appeared to slip from its position, and all the hills and mountains sprung due to his intolerable force. Because of the Lord's bodily effulgence, both the sky and all direction diminished in their natural illumination. Manifesting a full effulgence and a fearsome countenance, Lord Nrsimha, being very angry and finding no contestant to face his power and opulence, then sat down in the assembly hall on the excellent throne of the king. Because of fear and obedience, no one could come forward to serve the Lord directly. Hiranyakashipu had been exactly like a fever of meningitis in the head of the tree world. Thus, when the wives of the demigods in the heavenly planet saw that the great demon had been killed by the personal hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, their face blossomed in great joy. The wives of the demigod again and again showered flowers from heaven upon Lord Nrsimha like rain. Jai Nrsimha, Shri Nrsimha, Jaya Jai Nrsimhadev. Hare Krishna. There is more, of course. The whole Seventh Canto is full of more nectar about Lord Nrsimhadev and his son Prahlada. And at the same time, I want to give space for question, discussion. And if there is none, I will just read some of my favorite verse from this chapter. And what's happened after that is that all the demigods and kinnaras and apsaras and even all the nagas and all the inhabitants of the tree world came, and one after another they offer their prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev, beautiful prayers, and we can meditate on those prayers. They all glorify the Lord. They don't come to ask anything, they just glorify the Lord. So we can absorb ourselves and learn those prayers. And because devotees usually they glorify the Lord, they praise the Lord before they ask for anything, or ask for any even service. They don't want anything from the Lord. They just want to glorify the Lord. Jai Nrsimhadeva ki jai. Prahlada Maharaja ki jai. Any comment, question, anything you would like to know about this pastime? Anything? Yes, Gauda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Mother Malini, thank you for your class. Can you hear me well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got a new speaker camera thing. So I guess what I was appreciating when you began, you were acknowledging, that Krishna can, change anything in this material world, like from where he's at, but he chooses to come in these pastimes. And I was thinking, like for me personally, like, oh, that makes sense, like, because this is like, a personalism, practice. If God was just doing everything, if Krishna was doing everything just from the spiritual world, it would be, for me personally, it would be harder to like connect to like, well, how do I have a personal relationship if I'm not personally interacting, or Krishna's not personally interacting with us? So I was kind of appreciating that, just kind of thinking about that a little bit. And then also I was connecting to and appreciating like Prahlada when he was speaking to his father, sharing the transcendental knowledge with his father, and just like acknowledging, like, that his power, his father's power, is coming from Krishna, and like thinking about like, oh, like everything, like for me it was like, okay, so everything, it was like a kind of revisiting that, like, paradigm, that like everything that, I'm nowhere near Hiranyakashipu as far as like exploiting material energy, but I'm still in that mood in my life. I've been in that mood in my life, and could see how if I practice austerities, then I gain some like something from it, but not really acknowledging like it's all like every aspect of it is from Krishna. Like Krishna is granting me the power. Krishna is granting me the things that I want in my life, and just so I guess I was appreciating that, like just kind of looking at like even someone who has really become like super duper powerful, like on his own through austerities and knowing how to manipulate material energy, like still is disconnected from like the source of it all. So I was kind of just appreciating kind of hearing that. I don't know, for some reason you sharing it this morning, I was connected to that more than I have been in the past. And as far as Prahlada, like preaching to his father at that last critical time before Lord Nrsimhadeva appears. So I guess that's kind of what I wanted to share. It's immediately happening for me. I really appreciate the class, just kind of feeling more like history behind, like leading up to that pastime where he comes through the pillar. And yes, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Gauda Prabhu, for your sharing. For those of you who are not here at the beginning, we started with Bhagavad Gita, Yada Yada Dharmasya, and then Janma Karma Nrsimhadeva, and where Krishna say, I'm coming every millennium. And in the prayer of Queen Kunti, she have a series of prayer where she say, some say you come to deliver this person, some say you came to kill these people, and some say that you came to manifest your pastime for us to remember them, for us to be close to them. So that's what you're sharing, like Janma Karma. When we understand the appearance and disappearance of the Lord, doesn't need to take birth again, and the Lord come to us to help us. And what I appreciate your sharing, Gauda, that okay, the Lord was just in Vaikuntha and having his thing, and there is never interaction within the material world, that he doesn't come then it will be very, very difficult. And, you know, like sometimes we say like, it's like a prison house. And if the president of United States or the governor didn't come, like it's a kind of hopeless that there is another world out there. But because they come, we can interact. Oh, there is another world. There is another way of living, and the Lord is so kind to his devotees, and he allows us to see that. He allows us that any situation we are in, and the situation of Prahlada is pretty destitute if we think about it. His own father, his 5-year-old, want to kill him. His own father is the most powerful person in the universe. He's as powerful as Lord Brahma. And whatever situation we are in is never that severe. And because Prahlad know whatever power my father or anybody else have, or whatever power I have, it's just coming from the Lord and nowhere else. And for us to remember that and appreciate, like, I really like that response from Prahlada Maharaja, that your power comes from the same place as mine. And because we can, you know, be in that meditation all the time, you know, and sometimes also he doesn't hesitate. You know, sometimes we see people, they hesitate, oh, I don't want to disturb, so I'm not going to speak about God. But there is always a way to speak about God. Like Prahlada Maharaj doesn't hesitate to speak about God and the power of God. And there is always a way to speak about God in any situation. And Prahlada Maharaj shows us that. And yes, you appreciate the Lord coming here to in this different form. He comes always to save the day. He comes to save the day. He comes often petitioned by the demigods. That's when he comes. Even at the beginning of Krishna book, there is Mother Earth complaining to Lord Brahma, and the demigods going to the shore of the milk ocean to speak to Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. And that's when the Lord said, I'm going to come, take birth in the Yadu dynasty. So usually that's how it's happened like that. And the Lord is so wonderful that it is not limited by any condition. Because here, like, the Lord promised his devotees that he won't make his devotee lie. He didn't want to compromise Lord Brahma's commitment. Lord Brahma, he made a lot of commitment to Hiranyakashipu. He granted him so much boons. And the Lord came without even breaking that's beautiful. He served everyone, even Lord Brahma. He didn't want Lord Brahma to be laughed at or not trusted. So he came in a form that completely fit into all the boom Lord Brahma gave to Hiranyakashipu. And that's for us to also take that the Lord doesn't have any limitation. He's never going to be limited by any material condition. And Bhakti is independent. So Bhakti, devotion to God, is independent of any material condition. And Prahlada Maharaj really shows that he was completely absorbed in Bhakti yoga, in like remembering the Lord at every moment, and no material impediment, nothing could touch him from that place. Thank you, Gauda, for your comments. Anybody else would like to comment or share what you like about this pastime, or how this pastime help you in your own spiritual life, or any part of the pastime you like more? This pastime is interesting because when I have people coming here, and most devotees have experienced that usually people, when they start looking at the altar, usually that's where they stop, and it's, what's that? What's that? So crazy, fearsome, ugly, blood, intestine. And so in a sense, we have so much opportunity to share the beautiful pastime of Nrsimhadeva and Prahlada Maharaj. And by anybody who visit our home, because it's always a cause of a conversation around the Lord. Kachandra Prabhu, you have your hand raised.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for everything. I also appreciated Garuda Prabhu's comment, very thoughtful. Yeah, I'm just wanting to mention, I was actually thinking about Hiranyakashipu the Lord Nrsimhadeva the other day, and said so much a philosophical comment, but a personal one. And I felt I was really connecting to emotionally, like what Hiranyakashipu was going through, like in those moments building up. And he's like, you know, is he here? Is he here? And I was like realizing, you know, how much of it, like there was fear building in him. I really was having this sense there was this increasing anger that he was having was like something it was, he could feel what was coming. There was fear. And I was just like really in touch with it. And just as he was, you know, his whole thing was based on control, even like controlling, trying to control if he was live and die. And it was just like all coming to an end in those last moments, you know, when he's like challenging, like, well, where is this, Lord? And I don't know. It's just an emotional thing. Feeling
Thank
the
you
power.
for sharing. Like you had a moment of empathy with Hiranyakashipu. And Hiranyakashipu is like control his senses, control his mind for thousands of years. And he was controlling the universe. Everybody was scared of him.
Yeah.
He couldn't control his son. So right there, by not being able to control, because, you know, the desire for control comes from fear. And then when we lose control of anything, then fear comes and fear manifests into anger.
Feeling it,
And you were really having that moment of empathy, of being with Hiranyakashipu and like feeling like, yes, he was thinking he was in control, and all of a sudden, like, oh God, I'm not in control, and how fearful he must have been.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Anybody else would like to share? I will share one of my favorite verse of Prahlada Maharaja speaking with his classmate. And, you know, Prahlada Maharaja is so wise, like throughout, he preached to his classmate, but also after he prayed to the Lord. In fact, what's happened after that is the Lord is so fierce that everybody is kind of scared of approaching him. And so the demigod turned to Lord Brahma and said, oh, you go and pacify him. And Lord Brahma turned to Lakshmi, because she's a consort of Lord Vishnu, said, you go and you pacified him. And they're all like, no way, because they are scared. And so Lakshmi, she asked like Prahlad, and Prahlad is not scared. Prahlad sees the Lord, is in awe and reverence. He says, you're so beautiful, because Prahlad is a true devotee. He's not scared of the Lord. And the Lord comes in so many different forms. And Prabhupada always said the Lord comes in the form of death for the atheist. And so a devotee is never scared of any action of the Lord. So so Prahlad preaching to his schoolmate, he said, Sukaya dukkha mokshaya sankalpa hi akarmina sadapnoti aya dukkam iniyaya sukha vidaha. In this material world, every materialistic desires to achieve happiness and diminishes distress, and therefore he acts accordingly. So Nrsimhadeva was like that. He wanted to increase his happiness and decrease his distress. And he thought like, okay, I'm going to act accordingly, trying to control. Actually, however, one is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. As soon as one begins his activity for happiness, his condition of distress begin. I'm going to read it again because it's so far out that the 5-year-old Prahlad is so wise. In this material world, every materialistic desires to maintain happiness and diminish his distress, and therefore he acts accordingly. Actually, however, one is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. As soon as one begins his activity for happiness, this condition of distress begin. And then Prahlad prayed to Lord Nrsimhadev. That's in chapter 9. So the appearance of Lord Nrsimhadev is chapter 8. And chapter 7, that's when we get the knowledge from Prahlad. He says, my dear Lord Nrsimhadev, O Supreme, because of bodily conception of life, embodied souls neglected and not cared for by you cannot do anything for their betterment. Whatever remedies they accept, also perhaps temporarily beneficial, are certainly impermanent. For example, a father and mother cannot protect their child. A physician and medicine cannot relieve a suffering patient, and a boat on the ocean cannot protect a drowning man. So, like, that's Prahlada Maharaja praying. And I will share, unless there is sharing. You can stop me any moment because I can share a lot. And then we continue, like, later on at the end of chapter 9. Prahlada Maharaja said, O bears of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence. For wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thought of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, society, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them. So that's the mood of a devotee, because what's happened is Prahlad, he had beautiful prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev, and then Lord Nrsimhadev said, Prahlad, what do you want? I can give you a big kingdom, I can give you wealth, I can give you happiness, I can give you everything you want. And Prahlad said, I don't want anything. I already have everything I want. I have you, I have remembrance of you. I don't want anything. But what I feel so much pain for all the conditioned soul. And Prahlada Maharaja, he said, I don't want even liberation. I don't want to be free from this material existence. I don't want anything unless everyone else is liberated. And I do believe that Lord Chaitanya came because of that. And Prabhupada came following the order of Prahlada Maharaja. And so the next verse, Prahlada Maharaja said, my dear Lord Nrsimhadev, I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance, not caring for the big cities and towns. They go to the Himalayas or the forests to meditate with vows of silence, monovrat. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone. Leaving aside all those poor fools and rascals, I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to the shelter of your lotus feet. So that's the power of devotional service, that a devotee doesn't even want liberation. He doesn't care of his own happiness. He just wants to see everybody happy in the Lord. There is a verse from the 5th chapter. I don't know if I have it here. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Any other comment, question, sharing about your relationship with Lord Nrsimhadev? Lord Nrsimhadev is considered the form of the Lord that's the most present right now on this earth, that ready to appear. There is many testimonials of devotees, for example, being in car accident and having crashed that were like impossible to commensurate, and singing Nrsimhadev prayer. And at the time of they understood that something bad is going to happen, and then coming out untouched, like with not even a scratch from a car accident where everything was completely smashed to pieces, their car smashed to pieces. I know even one devotee he went down a cliff a long cliff. And something through the mercy of Lord Nrsimhadev came out untouched. And so there is many testimonial like that of people even seeing the Lord coming or the Lord manifesting in many ways. So I know when I start any trip, when I'm in my car, I go anywhere, I sing Lord Nrsimhadev prayer because I want to remember him. So maybe we can sing together. Namaste Nrsimhaya. Namaste Nrsimhaya. Prahlada Maharaja. Prahlada Maharaja. Hiranyakajipu Vaksha. Hiranyakajipu Vaksha. Shilatanka Nakalaye. Shilatanka Nakalaye. Ito Nishingo Pato Nishingo. Ito Nishingo Pato Nishingo. Yato Yamitato Nishingo.
Jito yamitato nishingo.
Baya Nishingo, Vidaya Nishingo.
I hear nishingo.
Nrsimhamadim Sharanam Prapadye. Again, Nrsimhamadim Sharanam Prapadye. Tavakara Kamalavare Naka Madhutashingam Dalita Hiranyakajiputanubhingam Keshavarita Nariupa Jaya Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Jaya Jagadisha Re.
Hiranyakashipu Tanubhingam Ishavarita Nararupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare.
Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev.
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 Jaya Prahlada Maharaja, Jaya Prahlada Maharaja, Jaya Prahlada Maharaja, Jaya Prahlada Maharaja.
Jaya Prahlada Maharaja, Jaya Prahlada Maharaja, Jaya Prahlada Maharaja, Jaya Prahlada Maharaja.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai, Prahlada Maharaja ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I have a personal sharing when I was going every day to receive radiation a year ago, a little bit over a year ago. I was receiving radiation every day, and I was very unwell, and the radiation were very scary for me. Very, very scary to do that. Was really scary. And so as soon as I will go in a car, even so I was, I will sing Nrsimhadev prayer, and I will sing it with more heart than I ever sing it before. And I will visualize those pictures of Prahlada Maharaja. There is more picture of Prahlada Maharaja where he's thrown into the poison is thrown into the pit of. There is more picture in other version of the Bhagavatam, but I will picture Prahlada Maharaja. There is another picture like that where there is the same. There is a beam of light over him when he's thrown into the poison, like the boiling oil. And I will picture that, and I will picture that those radiation are coming from the Lord. They are also Krishna's energy. They are not like, like even if they are from a demoniac system doesn't have any power to have any energy, but the energy of the Lord. And so that was really helping me. Like as I was laying down on that table to receive radiation, I was holding my japa. I was always like holding my japa. And I will picture that energy come from the Lord and nobody else. I just wanted to share that. Hare Krishna. Any other comment, question about Nrsimhadev or Srila Prahlada Maharaj before we close? Yes, Gauda Prabhu.
I have one quick question. You had expressed before we sung Nrsimhadev prayers that Nrsimhadev is the most present or available pastime still available to us in this age. Could you say more about that? Like,
it's just over the years I've heard so many testimonials, and there is someone gathering testimonial, and even testimonial from people who are not devotees, who have seen a strange lion coming to save them. So that's what I was sharing, is that from my perspective, like, is so present that there is a lot of testimonial from devotees and from non-devotees of people either seeing Lord Nrsimhadev or being in a crazy situation and singing Lord Nrsimhadev prayer and somehow coming out untouched like Prahlada Maharaj. And some people seeing, I was told a story, I never verified that story, of a big car accident, and a little girl wasn't strapped properly in a seat belt, and so she was propelled in the air, very, very high in the air, and she fell. She was little, like 4 or 5, I don't know, and she was propelled in the air, very, very high in the air, and then she fell down on the ground, and she was untouched, and all there was, it was a scratch on her arm, and she shared like, what. Yeah, I was in the air, and then that big lion came and put me down. So there is devotees who are gathering those kind of stories. I have personal friend who had accident where it's impossible to imagine how come they didn't die. And not only they didn't die, they came untouched. And they said that what they did is chanting, and Nrsimhadev prayer came, and they chanted, and they were completely absorbed in Lord Nrsimhadev during the accident. So that's what I mean. Yeah.
thank you for sharing. Hare Krishna. I
Krishna.
look forward to hearing these pastimes soon. I guess they're being compiled, I hear.
Yeah, well, that's many years I've heard that they are compiled. They always, I think if you browse on YouTube, you probably find some of that, because I heard them. And there is devotees who are completely dedicated to Lord Nrsimhadev. They go to all these places, and the wall of the pillar and the wall of Hiranyakashipu's, there is leftover in India, in South India. Some people go there on pilgrimage, and there is self-manifested deities of Lord Nrsimhadev. Usually they are very difficult to reach. You need to go to the jungle in the middle of tigers and go into cave, and sometime in the cave you need to go underwater and come out on the cave, and then you have a deity of Lord Nrsimhadev there. And there is all that is online. And there was a devotee, Dhruva. He was young when he started. He was 16. He was completely absorbed in the worship of Lord Nrsimhadev. And he went to all those places of pilgrimage, and he tells so many stories of Lord Nrsimhadev. And he was very young, and he went to the forest, and he went in those places where there is tiger, and he came untouched because he was so focused on Lord Nrsimhadev. So he used to live in this community. Kelly, you have something you want to share?
Yeah, I'm wondering if someone really likes Nrsimhadev and sings Nrsimhadev prayers, and someone in their family is in a terrible accident, but they don't know who Nrsimhadev is, but they're still very protected somehow miraculously in so many ways. Is it possible that he looks after their family even though they don't know who he is and they're not worshiping him and singing his prayers and all of that?
I do believe that the Lord can do that. I do believe, and like I said, there is people who have seen, and I know some people who have seen Nrsimhadev in their dream, coming to save them, protecting them against entities and things like that. And when they didn't know anything about Krishna or anything about Bhakti Yoga or anything like that. So I do believe that if a family member is a devotee of Lord Nrsimhadev and pray to Lord Nrsimhadev regularly and worship Lord Nrsimhadev, that Lord Nrsimhadev has the power to protect the family members of that devotee. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Kelly, for sharing. Hare Krishna. Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai.
Jai.
Prahlada Maharaja ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Encourage you all as well. You can listen. Yesterday I listened to the entire first to 10 chapter of the Seventh Canto. I listened only to the verse, and it was very, very relishable to do that. So I encourage you to absorb yourself in Lord Nrsimhadev prayer and pastimes. Listen to a recording of the pastimes. Listen to Prahlada Maharaja. Stay and for devotees who wish to honor the Lord in that way, fasting is until dusk. Until dusk, which is the time Lord Nrsimhadev came. He said, Lord Hiranyakashipu got the bone to not be killed during the day or during the night. So the Lord came at twilight, that moment where we cannot really say it's daytime or it's nighttime. The sun is not there, but it's not dark. So that's twilight. That's when Lord Nrsimhadev appears, and that's when devotee would choose to break the fast and offer feast to Lord Nrsimhadev. Jai, Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai. Have a beautiful day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.